Hi, this is Gerald Salenti. It's Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, and here are some of today's trends in the news. Whew. On the market front over there in Asia, it was mixed. Europe was down, and USA went down pretty big. But, we'll see what happens. Stocks fell sharply on Thursday, retreating from all-time highs as tech, the market leader since the rebound began last March, suffered its biggest drop in months. The Dow dropped over 800 points, was down well over 1,000. And that's the biggest decline since June 11th. The S&P was down 3.5. NASDAQ fell by 5. Apple shares were down 8%. Amazon, Netflix were both down more than 4%. Facebook 3.8%. Microsoft slipped 6.2%. But shares of beaten down companies that would benefit from the economy reopening rose, bucking tech's negative trend. Cruise operator Carnival advanced 5.2%. Macy's went up 5%. Now remember, since late March, the S&P's up more than 50%, NASDAQ has rallied 60%, and the Dow's gone up over 50% since that time. Again, Macy's and Carnival Cruise. Air travel, I know that's not a sea travel, that's only down 85% globally. The travel industry is doing terrible. But they're going to be rebounding. Macy's stock went up, right? Net sales of Macy's declined 35.8% in the quarter ending August 1st. Macy's is continuing with its strategy, including plans to close 125 underperforming stores since 2020. And their stocks went up. And Macy's was doing lousy before this. Again, the markets are totally rigged, only boosted up with cheap dough. End of story. And again, Gregory Mannarino has been writing in the Trends Journal, putting more data backing up what we've been saying. So the whole thing is just a total fraud. Oil prices fell on Thursday, at one point touching their lowest since early August. As U.S. unemployment data fed fears of a slow recovery. Wait a minute. This is both from CNBC. They just said that shares of beaten down companies that would benefit from the economy reopening rose, like Macy's and Carnival. But here they're saying that unemployment data fed fears of a slow recovery. So you know what all this is? It's nothing more than tons and tons of shit. You got it. So, what else? Both benchmarks fell more than 2% earlier, but they closed down a little bit up. And again, we're coming to the end of the driving season. So summer driving is going to back down a little bit. So where are oil prices going to go? Again, I've been saying, as I see it, the top for oil, the top is $50 a barrel. And most governments that are oil rich, whether they're rich in money or poor in money, they can't live on that kind of oil price. So you're going to see more disruptions around the Middle East, Africa, South America, and other places that need higher oil prices. What will bring the oil prices up? You know, war in the Middle East particularly. Federal Reserve Governor Lael Brainard said the U.S. Central Bank would need to roll out more stimulus to support an economy still suffering from negative effects of a virus pandemic. Again, more cheap money. And it's not the negative effects of a virus pandemic, it's the negative effects from the sick virus minds of the imbeciles and morons that closed down the global economy. And Bitcoin today, it was down some 6%. It's hanging in the 10,000 range. Remember, it got up there in the 12,000. So now it's playing back to that 10,000. We'll be playing at 10,000, 7,000, 9,000, 7,000 range again. We got to see where it goes. And again, gold prices, they went down a little bit today, and it's near a 1-week low. But, you know, as I said, this economy, they're just putting in more cheap money. You just heard the Fed guy say we're going to put more dough in. And U.S. debt hits post-war record, okay? But U.S. trade deficit in July reaches its widest since 2008. So things are getting a lot worse and the markets are going up. Oh, and by the way, Trump was going to change the whole trade deal with China. You ready for this? In 2016, the trade deficit with China was $347 billion. For 2019, $345 billion. Little changed. And you could thank Slick Willie Clinton and all the Democrats and Republicans for doing this. Again, as I talk over and over again, you look at China's GDP going into 2000, 2001, and it was a flat line. They get into the World Trade Organization and it goes up like that. And all this $345 billion trade deficit is basically $345 billion out of the pockets of workers in America that would be manufacturing this stuff. But the low-life slimers want to get their stuff made cheap overseas, bring it back, mark up the prices, and they could care less about anybody else. Laos faces sovereign default as Forex reserves dip below $1 billion. Before COVID-19, rating agencies and Western diplomats were already raising the alarm over Laos debt levels, inflated by big, environmentally controversial hydropower projects on the Mekong River and a Chinese-backed high-speed rail project. I keep mentioning about China. The 20th century was the American century. The 21st century, the way things are going, is the Chinese century. And Laos, by the way, was about 7-8 million people. They're registering no deaths from COVID at all. Australia in a recession for the first time in nearly 3 decades. Yeah, because you got that moron Morrison and that little boy nothing over there playing Premier Prince over there in Melbourne, in Victoria. The Premier Andrews nothing. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. And you've seen these videos going out. Oh, these tough cops going out there with this pregnant woman who put up a thing for a freedom rally on Freedom Day. And how they handcuffed her and took her off. And all what they're doing. You have 670 deaths in Australia. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, okay? Over 400 of those deaths are from elder care homes. And you lock down the place? And now they're extending the lockdown, and that little slimy little nothing of a boy, Andrews over there, gave himself more power to do what he wants. Ruining people's lives. And where's the fight back? Not happening there. And not happening in the USSA. And what else do we have here? The euro fell 0.5% on Thursday. Again, the euro's going down because they're pumping all this cheap money in there. So the euro is going up for a while. The dollar went up. That's why gold went down. But the dollar's not going to be worth anything either. And as I keep saying, silver, gold, and cryptocurrencies. Eurozone's retail sales run out of steam. Retail sales fell 1.3% in July from the previous month. Bundesbank chief calls for scale down of COVID-19 aid. And he's 100% right, because they're pumping in all this cheap dough that's artificially inflating everything. Again, countries all over the world are giving people money. all over. And not all over, but a lot of places. So it's all artificially being propped up. Retail tenants face eviction as ban ends. Proceedings for the eviction of retail tenants are picking up across the country as courts reopen and states' moratoriums on evictions are expiring. And now they've extended it for people that rent, tenants, which is different than retail. How are the people going to pay? You have a tenant in there. How are you going to pay your mortgage? How are you going to pay your taxes if you're not getting any money? This thing's turning ugly. Ford looks to cut 1,400 positions. United job cuts to exceed United Airlines, 16,000 people. Amtrak plans to furlough 2,000 workers, a 10% cut. For workers, downturn bears deep rifts. Almost 11% of U.S. households didn't have enough to eat in the previous 7 days. That's up from 4% in 2018. On another note, apartment buildings attract investors. It depends where the apartment buildings are. If they're in, I would say, New York City, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, they're not going to attract. They're going to attract because people are going to be losing their homes. They're not going to be able to afford to buy them. They're not going to be able to afford to pay for their mortgages, and they're going to go into apartments. Without relief, failures loom on Main Street. Big story here in the toilet paper of record. This thing is going down big time on Main Street, but you don't have to worry out because buyout funds bid for fail rail operator. A group of buyout investors has made a takeover offer for railroad operator Kansas City Southern, which has a market value of more than $18 billion. Blackstone Group and Global Infrastructure Partners. I'm mentioning this because the bigs are getting bigger. All we are plantation workers on the global plantation of Slavelandia. Without relief, failures loom on Main Street. Relief isn't going to make a difference. They destroyed the businesses by closing them down and making up their arrogant
absolute bullshit
of what's essential and what's not. Little clown boys, arrogant little women to be equal about it, whether it's Witless Whitmere or Gatson Gavin over there, and King Cuomo, and Moron Murphy, and Tiny Little Wolf. One after another. Moron Morrison. Look around the world. Look who's destroying it. Don't get excited, Celenti. Be proper. Yes. Yes, be proper. Just like Ryan, our property manager over here, said, who's of Jewish descent, they should have been more proper, and they wouldn't have ended up in Auschwitz. Only if they were proper. You better fight. You better not be a coward, because that's who's destroying us. These aren't men. They're not women. You think little Andrew boy or Moron Morrison or come over here, Cuomo, you put a mask on me. Oh, Celenti, calm down. You know, I like listening to Gerald Celenti, but when he gets angry, I'm a little coward and I don't like that. This thing's going down big and hard. Look at the crime going on. Look what's going on with the violence. I was the first one to say this back in the end of February. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. They're losing it everywhere. Times Square Hilton is set to shut down. Oh, it's only a 478-room hotel in Times Square. Time empty. Time out. Even top restaurants fight for survival. Oh, yes, a little story in the Wall Street Journal. Cosmetic stocks sag amid mask wearing. I can't figure that out. Can't figure it out. Campbell's Soup predicts demand to dine at home will remain high. Campbell's was going down before this. And now there's stock, well, it's still down from where it was a couple of years ago. Let's see, in first quarter, October, New Jersey-based company provided guidance that it would reach $2.18 billion in the first quarter ending October, up 5 to 7%. On the same period a year ago, it reported an 18% rise in sales during the quarter ended on August 2nd. But their sales of soup has surged 52%. The stock price is up only 6% this year and remains down a fifth from 2016 peak. But I want to mention this because who's dying from the disease? You know the numbers. And you know the who. 94% of the people that have died from COVID had pre-existing chronic disease. 2.6% of a disease. Or two diseases, 0.6%. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, on and on. So, maybe this is what you want to eat from Campbell's. Prego, pasta sauce, SpaghettiOs, the condensed soup. Isn't that great stuff? Yeah. Pepperidge Farm goldfish crackers, kettle potato chips. It's great stuff. People eating at home. No one talks about building up your immune system and getting in great health. It's against the law. And to show you the propaganda, man who attended motorcycle rally dies in a toilet paper record. They're talking about that Sturgis motorcycle rally, a 10-day event that had 365,000 people, and these little pieces of garbage crap. One guy died. And by the way, you look at some of those cats. Here, check out this picture of who's driving those motorcycles. They got a little extra weight on. And then you look at South Carolina. 169 deaths. March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Population, 885,000 people. Well, what's that? 0.01 something, something, something. This is the fear that they keep selling. Again, if you don't support the truth, if you don't put your money in your mind where your heart is, tune out, get lost, don't come back. Do whatever you can to change this. And one thing, of course, the subscribers do, subscribe to the Trends Journal. We're out there fighting. I held that rally on the 4th of July, and I got a lot of crap for it. Why? How dare I have a 4th of July rally? If I was in Melbourne now, little boy Andrew would have me locked up and chained up. Yeah, maybe even sending me to Guantanamo. Subscribe to the Trends Journal. We need your help to make this bigger. We need to go beyond a magazine. We have to become a network. We're the ones that are putting the truth and facts out. Think for yourself. Schools offer online MBA. More and more schools. No kidding. Wrote about it. Interactive U. In our magazine. We've been saying this over and over again. Start looking for more interactive, leading edge software It's a whole new world out there, and India is leading that charge. And what else do you have here? New Zealand reports 2 positive cases. Woo! 2 positive cases. What, they got 5 million people over there? Nobody died since May. And they locked down Auckland. Oh, we're opening it up now. Guns are drawn, raising new fears at protests. Again, I warned about this. The violence is going to continue to increase. It's getting worse and worse. The numbers are there. Murders, shootings in New York City increased sharply in August. Wonder why they're moving out of there. Again, I warned about this. We were the first to say it when everybody was freaking out about, oh, the COVID's coming. We started talking about the implications. And as you know, I reported, Bloomberg said, of all the cities in the United States, Kingston, New York, where we are, the prices have gone up the highest as people are escaping. So what do we have here? 53 murders in August, an increase of more than 47% during the same month in 2019. Shootings surged 166%. Murders in the city rose 34%. Shootings spiked 87% in the same 8-month stretch. Burglaries went up 22%. And burglaries shot up 42% compared to the same period a year ago. You see, and this is the presidential election. A lot of it's going to have to do with this. And then what happened just up in Rochester, just north of here? Bit north, way north. They put this bag over a poor guy, a black man, out of his mind. He was naked. And he died. That's going to escalate more of the tension. Why did the cops do this? And they're ruining it for the others. The Kingston police don't do that stuff over here. These are guys, they're men. They don't pull this kind of garbage. And there are a lot of policemen that don't do that. Why don't they straighten up? Can't you see what's coming down? And it's dividing us as a race. It's races against race. And that's why our rally was to unite for peace and to restore freedom. This is going to turn very ugly very fast. So please do what you can to support us. We need your help. Because if we don't unite for peace and restore freedom, this is going to be hell on earth. And not only in America, all over the world. Because these economies are going down big time. How much more proof do I have to put in here? They're all being artificially propped up. You know the real facts. So please do what you can. Because without liberty, love, joy, and beauty, again, hell on earth isn't a trip for me. Thank you for tuning in. This is Gerald Salenti, and that's some of today's trends in the news. The COVID-19 war has changed the world, but who's prepared? What's next? It's in your Trends Journal. Trends Journal subscribers are prepared. Subscribe to the Trends Journal. Read history before it happens. From the world leader in trend forecasting.